All right. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to the Thursday, May 18th, 2023 Public Works Committee meeting. And the first order of business is for roll call. And we have Council Member Althauser, Council Member Schneider, and myself, Council Member Swarthout in attendance. So next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the April 6, 2023 meeting and the April 20th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Or I'll
Okay,
second.
yes.
Go ahead.
All right. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we've passed those. Now we're going to jump into the resolution number R 2023-008, the 6-year transportation improvement program. And take it away, Mary Heather.
Good morning, council members. I will, as we're all familiar with at this point, sharing my screen. Here we go. So thank you for, I'm moving things. So yes, thank you for the opportunity to present an introduction to our 6-year Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, for 2024 through 2029. And the common disclaimer, you've heard it several times before, I'll refer to this as the TIP or the TIP-STIP process. The addition of the S is for the statewide. And that's because, as you know, this is the foundation for transportation funding within the state of Washington. So each city prepares a list of transportation projects for the next 6 years, which becomes their local TIP. And then those lists are submitted through local planning organizations. Ours is TRPC. They're submitted to the state to become the STIP, the statewide transportation improvement program. This is meant to be a comprehensive list, so you might even say it's more than we will actually get done. And you'll see that as we move forward. However, that is on purpose. So the updates to our TIP this year can be grouped into 3 main categories: removals, modifications, and additions. And we have one project that was removed. That's the Tumwater Town Center Connector Road. It was more appropriate to be held in a different location, a different plan. Projects that are underway have had funding amounts adjusted accordingly. And then we have added a new project, that's Trosper Road, Little Rock Road to I-5. And I'll talk a little more about that here. So this table is from your meeting materials, and I want to call out a couple of the projects for your attention. So that final line is the Trosper Road, Little Rock Road to I-5 project that I mentioned just a moment ago. This is a new project that includes planning and preliminary engineering to address capacity and safety issues in this location. So as long as we're on this page, though, also on this page, you'll see the I-5 Trosper Road Capitol Boulevard reconfiguration, which I know you're familiar with, and it continues into next year. And you can also see on the second line, we have the East Street connection. Currently, funding is not secured for this project, but including it here, like so many of these others, means that we can work toward getting it funded. On this page, there aren't any particular changes or additions that I need to call your attention to. Instead, I think I'll just mention that the continuation of our pavement maintenance program, which is funded in large part by our Transportation Benefit District. This is what adds up to being a really big project, which we do incrementally through the years, and it really improves quality of life for the users of our street network. On this page, you'll see the Fish Passage Barrier Removal Project, which Council added to the current 2023 to 2028 TIP during an amendment process earlier this year. So we have carried it forward into next year's TIP as it will move into construction next year. And this year we have over $30 million in planned grant funding with over 50 million in local funds for a total of nearly $90 million. So this is where I said earlier, these are very large numbers. So a reminder that this is not financially constrained. We do include projects here in order to be able to apply for funding. But on the other hand, we've been quite successful with grant funding in the last few years. So we're doing our best to complete this list. And I want to say Eagle Eyes may notice that the totals don't add up correctly, and I apologize for this. I noted it during my review this morning, and I will make sure that it's correct before it goes to council for a public hearing. So this map shows where the money will be put to work, that big $80 million or almost $90 million total. So with that, this morning, I'm asking that you provide any comments that you may have on this information. So we won't be asking for action because all action will take place after a public hearing, which is planned before the full City Council on Tuesday, June 6th, to consider the resolution R2023-008, which will adopt the city's TIP for 2024 through 2029.
Okay, we have
You're
questions.
muted, Eileen. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think you're finally, I know, so I'm poking at it. So we have questions for Mary Heather. Go ahead, Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mary. I have a question. It's not related to the TIP presentation, but since I have you on the screen, on an unrelated item, can you provide us with an update on the road going from Capitol Boulevard down to the golf course next to the brewery district there? I noticed half of it's been blacktop and the other half hasn't.
You know, I'm going to have to ask for some help with that. It looks like Brandon is unmuting.
Yeah, so I heard part of it as my kids were jostling around in the background, but sounds like you're talking about the Tumwater Valley Drive realignment there at the Craft District project.
Yes.
And sort of an update on it.
Yes,
So,
please.
so they have completed the signal work and the realigned road work down to their first access in order to open up the market building. They're not constructing from that access down to the existing Tumwater Valley Drive yet. They need to get some other lots filled in order to move that part forward. So right now, the connection to the golf course is still where it currently is. The signal will be operational soon if it's not already, but it won't be a thoroughfare for a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? I guess the only thing, Mary, that I had was looking at the boxes and the X's. Because I get the ones that are in construction, but like if they're still in the planning, because some of them look like they've already gone to design, but I don't know that they're that far yet. So yeah.
Yes, I can comment on that. So the X's just mean what money is included in our totals. So if we've included money to do design or right of way or construction or planning, then it's there. It doesn't necessarily mean that anything has been started. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just curious because I was just one in particular that I was looking at. That's like, oh, you know, I don't know if that one will ever get to see the light of day, but you know, it had 3 X's there. So well, that's the rural road shoulder one. So yeah.
Yes. So that just means that if we do find funding, secure funding for that, then we would include those 3 phases in the project.
Okay. All right. This is very ambitious again. So, and then it sounds like as we went over it last year too, that we have the ability, like each year, are we going to be revisiting this then and maybe taking things off and putting things in?
So each year we do that. About this time of year, you'll be seeing a presentation for the following year. We did for Percival Creek Fish Passage Barrier Removal Project, we did have to do sort of an out of cycle, if you will, amendment to the current tip, but in general, this would be something that you'll see each year looking forward for the next 6 years.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. All right. So it looks like if we don't have any other questions, then we'll look forward to seeing this at the council meeting on Tuesday, June 6th to be adopted at that, or have our public hearing and then consider for adoption. So, all right.
Wonderful.
anything
Thank
else?
you.
Okay, no. All right. We'll move on to our next item, which is the investment grade audit proposal discussion. And we have Alyssa up.
Good morning. Can you all see my screen okay? Okay, excellent. Good morning. I'm going to be giving you an update on the investment grade audit project, but since the last time that I spoke to you all about the investment grade audit, I also gave you some kind of looks ahead of some sustainability work that was down the line. I figured I'd give you an update on that too. So some updates on some sustainability projects real quick before I get into the investment grade audit. We have completed the LED lighting at the library project. Reliable Electric removed 900 ballasts and replaced fluorescent bulbs with LEDs. The cost of this project was $65,508.38. The projected first year savings will be $5,500 and will have an 8 to 9 year payback. The work was carried out September through December of last year, and this project would not have been possible without Wes and Stan from facilities and Bonnie from my department. Another sustainability project that's wrapped up recently is the installation of 2 ground-mounted solar arrays at 2 different water resources and sustainability infrastructure locations, totaling 3.8 kilowatts of solar. The solar panels installed at Kreitz Street Water Fill Station and Sap Road pressure reducing valve are able to generate enough electricity to cover the regular use of these locations and then some. The cost of this project was $50,012.50. Work began in October, and both of the arrays became operational late April, just last month. Jerry Lemming, Steve Craig, and Bonnie were also essential in the success of this project. The last project I want to update you all on before the investment grade audit update is the EV charging stations at City Hall, which you all have probably already seen. Home Street Electric installed 3 level 2 charging stations, charging ports, and expanded the electrical panel capacity to allow for more future chargers either on the fleet side or in the public side on site at City Hall. The total cost for this project was $63,378.49. Work was completed just last week, and the stations were open to the public on Monday of this week. Wes, Mark Levac, Steve Craig, and Bonnie were also integral to getting this project over the finish line. So there's some quick updates on some physical projects related to sustainability. Now onto
I
the
had a quick question then
Yep.
on that last one. Then the funding for that came from.
the sustainability initiatives line item from the general fund.
Okay. Okay, so for our budget. Okay, I was just
Yep.
curious if it had any. I've been such a wizard at finding things, so like funding and stuff. So I was wondering if that was part of it.
I'm applying for grants for additional EV charging. Solar powered off-grid EV charger at Pioneer Park. Right now, we've been invited to do the second round of proposals from the Department of Commerce, so I have fingers crossed on that. But because of the location of a lot of the fast chargers throughout the community, we get left out of a lot of the federal grants because we're too close to existing chargers and they want fast chargers. So I'm trying to find whatever I can for community chargers level 2 or fast charger locations that are within the scope of the different funding opportunities.
Thank you.
I'll try to have grant funding for all of these projects in the future, but I can only try.
So I have a question as well, if I may intervene.
Yes.
On the EV charging stations, if the public uses that, is there a charge for that?
No, so we're piloting them at no cost until 2027, when we'll look at the data and really look at the cost to the city. The finance director, who's on with us today, produced a document and had the city attorney review it and found that the cost was very, very little. The cost to charge a car is, the total cost for a year was $1,500 or less at our estimation. So we're seeing if we can provide this for free or not by collecting data for a couple of years on that. Providing free charging is a really important way to make sure that electric vehicle access is available to all income levels. Also providing the public charging makes it so that if anybody has electric vehicles or plug-in hybrid vehicles and any of the multifamily housing nearby that doesn't generally have EV charging, now they have access to this nearby and they can use it for free at least until the end of 2027.
Thank you.
Any other questions on those projects before I move forward? Okay. So those are the tangible projects right now. This project, the investment grade audit, is not tangible yet. In the fact that we can't see construction or anything happening, because what they're going to be doing is looking at all of our facilities, which I'll get into a little bit in the future, and trying to find any sort of efficiency fix that they can find to help us meet our cost effectiveness goals. But the overall scope of this is because of two actions in the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan, actions W1.1 and W2.2 for water audits and municipal energy efficiency. So doing this project, the investment grade audit, is part of our implementation of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. So in July of last year, I came to you for approval so that the mayor could execute an interagency agreement with Department of Enterprise Services to begin the energy programs process. Since then, we've had 3 site visits with DES and our energy services contractor, which is McDonald Miller. We worked with DES to determine the cost effectiveness criteria for this project, which is that the work should result in a 2% decrease of electricity consumption each year, or 20% decrease from 2019 levels by 2030. The work should result in a 3% decrease each year of potable water consumption, or 33% decrease from 2019 levels by 2030. The work should result in greenhouse gas emission reduction of 45% by 2030 for those facilities, and that the work falls within the estimated funding that was available at the time in which we were starting to have these conversations with McDonald Miller and DES. We're now at the step where the ESCO, or McDonald Miller, is proposing the investment grade audit based on those site visits. Prior to proposing the investment grade audit formally, as you see it in the agenda packet today, McDonald Miller created a list of energy efficiency measures they see as potentially meeting our cost effectiveness criteria. Myself, facilities, and operations staff met to discuss that list and provided and asked for some changes based on our operational knowledge. Was this heater just recently installed, and would that be maybe not the best use of taxpayer money? Is this something that was left off that we really want to make sure is done? Or is this something that we've been really trying to do for a number of years, but we've not been able to yet? So trying to make sure that all of the things that we want to do to reach our energy efficiency and water efficiency were included in those, which just didn't seem feasible within funding availability and whatnot. We're not promising that we'll do those right now. Also, since July, McDonald Miller has benchmarked city buildings in Energy Star Portfolio Manager, including City Hall, which is the only building, city-owned building that's required to meet the Clean Building Performance Standard. So we're already benchmarked in meeting that requirement. Some of those potential energy efficiency measures include lighting and controls upgrades, smart building analytics to help us operate or mostly heat and cool our spaces efficiently while also maintaining comfort. That's a big concern. Replacing water heaters with heat pump water heaters, door controls for bay heaters in the Public Works building so that the heaters aren't on when the doors are open, converting some HVAC systems that are near their end of life to electric alternatives, as well as indoor and outdoor low flow water fixtures. The full list is available in the agenda item. So the next steps are as follows. We authorized McDonald Miller to move forward with the investment grade audit. Once they complete that, they provide us with an energy services proposal with cost-effective projects meeting our definition of cost-effective. From there, we either decide to move forward with those projects or we don't. If we don't, we pay for the investment grade audit at that time. But if we move forward with those projects, which is my preference, if at all possible, we amend our interagency agreement with DES and move towards the construction of those improvements. The cost of the investment grade audit is rolled into the construction costs. This allows McDonald Miller to kind of move right into construction. With the energy services program, it has its own kind of procurement allowances, which make it so that we can move relatively quickly. We will have DES assist in managing those construction projects as well as the program in general. Construction will also have a guaranteed maximum cost and a guarantee to meet the cost effectiveness criteria. And once those construction projects are done, we move into a measurement and verification stage to ensure that those guarantees are met. So some of those benefits of the ESCO project process is those guaranteed project costs and performance. DES helps along the way. If we proceed with the energy services proposal, our investment grade audit is rolled into the construction costs, and it just streamlines the audit to a construction process. Today, there is no action requested. This was a briefing. We'll be bringing forward some additional contracts once we tell McDonald Miller to say yes after council is okay with it. And then we'll move forward from there and hopefully get to those cost effectiveness criteria being met and our buildings being more efficient in terms of water and energy. Thank you.
All right. I know we're sure we have questions, Michael.
Yeah, so I guess this is sort of a recap just to make sure that my understanding is accurate. So essentially and we've talked about it before, but I just want to make sure that I still understand. So essentially, they're going to do the audit. If we don't actually make the improvements, then we have to pay for the research that they did. What do you think, like sort of a ballpark for how much that could cost in a scenario of that kind?
For the cost of the investment grade audit?
Yeah,
we say no?
just like so that we have an understanding of, for lack of a better term, risk.
It's $42,863.
Okay, so it's not significant, and it's also information that we should have. Like, it's good for us to have that information anyway.
We'll
Like,
have,
this is also a really helpful tool for us to have in the future, even if there is an unforeseeable circumstance where we don't want to make those improvements.
correct. We'll have an accurate count of every single light bulb, a fixture. We'll know exactly how much energy they need, how much water they flow with. We'll have the nitpicky details of everything that we could do in the future for energy efficiency and water efficiency and those buildings that are included.
My other question is if other jurisdictions in Thurston County are engaging in a similar process.
Many have. We have also in the past, and we have a 2013 ESCO project that I think we're still in the measurement and verification process with, which is longer than is normally done. But yes, Olympia has gone through this. They've gone through it for their infrastructure as well as their buildings. When we went through this process, we did all the site visits to infrastructure locations as well. But the feeling that we got from McDonald Miller is that we were already as efficient as we could be in our water and sewer infrastructure. And that's why they're focusing on the buildings. But yes, many other jurisdictions have done this. It's a common practice.
Great, thank you.
Councilman Schneider, do you have any questions? No? Okay. Let's see. So I'm looking at the schedule. So it looks like we're the audit, the kickoff was supposed to be the end of April, or so we're still.
It's probably a little bit delayed because of the
Okay.
time it took to get this on the agenda.
Okay, no worries. I just was curious about that, if it puts off the timing for everything. So, okay. All right, this is really exciting. So I appreciate it. So we've already had this done before in 2013,
Yes,
something like this.
Yep. We worked on a good bit of the HVAC from my understanding. And the way that we paid for it is we took a loan from ourselves and we're paying it back with the savings.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Okay, well, this is really exciting. Yeah, I remember we were talking about in the climate that Olympia had already, I thought this was similar to what Olympia was doing early on. So, okay. All right. So do we have any other questions for Alyssa? Thanks. I appreciate the update as well on where we are on the projects that have been completed. It's very exciting. So, okay.
Thank you.
Well, this is a short agenda. So let's see. Looks like anything else? Do we have anything else that we need to bring up? Capitol Boulevard's going well, Brandon?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's a very detailed update, isn't it?
Okay, super. You guys have a lot of work planned this summer, so okie dokie. All right, well, with that, with nothing else to discuss, I will call the Thursday, May 18th, 2023 Public Works Committee meeting adjourned. Have a good day, you guys. Thanks for coming.